So one of the main reasons that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially the beginner entrepreneurs, one of the main reasons they fail is because they do too much work. And this might sound contradictory to what I preach, because I'm not about the 4-hour work weeks. I'm all about hustle culture. But there's a famous quote, I can't remember from who exactly, but it was, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my sword. Now what most entrepreneurs do is they act, which is good, and I encourage that. In fact, I encourage the 12-hour work days, but I encourage 12 hours of smart work, not 12 hours of stupid work, because they'll say they're gonna start an agency and they're not spending those times doing cold calls, they're watching videos, they're watching courses, they're reading books, and they class that as work. That's not work. In fact, the mega entrepreneurs or investors, they take this to the next level. In fact, Warren Buffett, he says he spends a decade thinking, then he spends 1 day deciding and acting, because he knows that decade of thinking will have such a massive ROI. And if you don't believe me, you can Google like Warren Buffett's net worth over time. Now, I'm not telling you to wait 10 years to get rich, but what I'm saying is you need to take the right actions. In fact, athletes also understand this, because there's a concept in, well, it comes from the basketball world, and it's called deliberate practice. If there were basketballers to play a match, and let's say their weakness was shooting, would it make sense for them to play lots of matches to improve their shooting, or to go to different positions on the pitch, or I think they call it the court in basketball, and practice shooting? Which one would help them in the long run? Obviously practicing their shooting, because the matches would only have a few shots that they could actually take. So the lesson here is, you want to sharpen your axe, you want to sharpen your sword. Action is good, but you have to know what you're acting on. So that's why I like to spend time just in cigar lounges like this. And as you can see, it's fucking empty, because the other entrepreneurs, they're not necessarily doing this, right? So I like to just spend like an hour or two, just like once a week, once a month, where I just sit and I think and I reflect and I say, okay, what did I do well this month? What could I do better this month? How can I get to the next level? And that day of just thinking, without day per week, is what allowed me to go from government welfare to making $20,000 to $30,000 profit every single month at the age of 20. Meanwhile, I've gone to business conventions and I've spoken to 40-year-olds and I say, like, how much money do you make? And they always start justifying themselves, and they say, I make like, you know, 3,000-4,000 a month. And I'm like, it's a good start. And they're like, yeah, I've been in business for 5 years. I'm like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? That's fucking unacceptable, because when I ask them what they do, they can't even articulate to me what they do. So for example, if you ask me, Zain, what do you do? I help people like you start coaching businesses so you can make 5K a month, 10K a month, 20K a month, all the way up to 100K a month. So in short, I help people start coaching businesses. But if I ask them what they do, they start telling me a story, because they haven't even sat down for 5 minutes and been able to articulate what the fuck they do. So if you want to get rich, take action, take aggressive action, but more importantly, just spend a day, spend a week, just sitting down and thinking, what should those actions be? Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to win. So remember, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my axe.